Right, let's take a quick look at Postman. So if I bring you over to my VM, and you can see I've already loaded up Postman and I've also signed in as well. So if your front page looks a little bit different, then feel free to create a free account, log yourself in, and that's going to enable workspaces. And workspaces are quite useful. They're basically like projects, and being able to create multiple workspaces for different applications is pretty handy. So I do recommend you sign up a free account and do this. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to create a workspace, and I'm just going to call this API test. And then I'm just going to make it personal and then create a workspace. And here we go. One thing I forgot to mention, if you load it up and you're not in dark mode already, if you come into this cog here and go settings and come to themes and you prefer dark mode, then click dark mode. Obviously I have mine set to system default, so it's matching my system settings, but you can change that in here. I know that some people like to work late at night, and the bright version of Postman can be a little blinding. So if workspaces are basically projects, then collections are groups of requests. So we can come in here and we're in our workspace. So we're in the API test workspace, and we can just click new. And what we want to do is a new HTTP request. In fact, actually, let's create a new collection. So let's do new collection. And we'll edit this. I think you can rename with Control E. So I'm just going to call this cats, or you can click on the three dots and yeah, there's rename, duplicate, exports, everything you need in here as well. And in here, what we want to do is add a request. So I'm just going to call this cat breeds, and I already have a URL sitting on my clipboard. So we're going to go to catfacts.ninja/breeds, and I think we don't need any other parameters. We can just send this request and we get the response back. And if we want to create another request, we can just come into our collection and add request. And we'll do the same. So we'll call this one cat facts. And instead of doing the breeds, all we want to do is paste this and change this to fact. And as you can see, we can start to build out our collection. And you might want to create another collection called dogs, for example. And personally, what I tend to do on applications when I'm working with Postman is, if I can't import a collection, which I'll show you how to do in a moment, I will create my collections based on functionality or kind of logical groupings of endpoints. So if we have a forum, I might have endpoints like posting and commenting and editing posts in one collection, and I might have like administration activities such as update user, ban user, change user privileges in a separate collection as well. So that's my kind of personal workflow, but you can group your collections however you want. We'll get more into this later, but of course it's very easy to change the types of requests and then add in a body, make it form data, for example. But for now, this is a very quick intro to Postman. And something that we want to do is be able to import collections. So a lot of applications will have a collection of API endpoints ready to go. And so what we can do is we can choose files. I'm going to come to home and then labs and crappy. So this is one of the applications that we'll be looking at, not exclusively, but it is a pretty good open source API driven web application. And if we come into Postman collections, you can see that we have the collection.json and the Postman environment.json. So we want both of these. And all we're going to do is click open, click import, and you can see that it's nicely separated out. So even though these are different applications, it's pulled them in as a collection. So our import is nice and clean. And then when we click down onto it, you can see all of the endpoints as well. so we can start using this and sending them. Now, you'll notice that sometimes variables are used and this says unresolved. If this is the case, when you're working with your environment, you either need to import the environment or you need to come to the top here and you see how it says no environments, just click crappy and then it will autofill this as well. If we come back to no environment, you can manually set these variables as well by coming down and just clicking add new variable, and this will also do the trick. But there are a lot of variables and a lot of scripts used, which makes Postman really, really powerful for testing lots of APIs quickly. And it's good to get started with what the developers provided. So again, that was a very brief introduction to Postman. And don't worry if you're new to Postman and you're like, oh, there's a lot of buttons and a lot of things to do and a lot of things to remember. We're going to go through all of it, and throughout the videos, you'll get more and more comfortable with it. So we're going to kind of learn by doing, if that makes sense. I'll see you in the next video.